Hello. We're gonna pretend like I haven't not posted in, has it been like almost 6 months, 5 months, something like that. And we're just gonna act like everything's normal because life got busy. I started working at a yarn shop and finding the time and the space to post got tricky. So I have a new spot right now for the summer while the entire house is full of family members. And I wanted to make sure to record because this weekend is Flock and Fiber Festival, and I'm really excited to go. I live in the Seattle area, so I got to go last year, and it was really fun and a cool experience. And so when they were going to have it again, I made sure to get my tickets early this time. There's still tickets available if you haven't gotten yours, but it's going to be pretty amazing. I'm really excited about a lot of the vendors that are going to be there. Um, where should I start? I'll start with things I'm working on. Um, I'm working on a lot of very tiny needle projects, and it's kind of making me crazy. Did not think that one through. Just decided, oh, I like this project. I want to make it, and did not think about the fact that I was going to be knitting on like two projects on size one needles. And I'm trying to see what size this one is. I think this one's, oh, how luxurious. This one's a size 5. So I had gotten the yarn to make a Moon Crush tank. And this is about as far as I got until I got distracted with some other things. But this is Lillian Pine sock. And let me see if I have the labels. I know the yellow is limoncello. This is the third color that I haven't added quite yet. And it is called Surprise. And I can't remember what the purple is called. Do I have that? No. Why would I have that one? I think it's grape soda. It's grape something. I can't remember. But I started that a little while after the local yarn shop tour, and have not worked on it since, really, because other things kept distracting me. Like, we got some cotton yarns and things in the shop, and now that I'm working at a yarn shop, I want more things that I can wear during the summer and the warmer months, because I didn't have a lot. I usually just wear t-shirts and things in the summertime. So the next thing that I cast on was some Knitting for Olive cotton merino. And this was a little tricky. It doesn't look like much because it's not a lot right now. I had originally started trying to make the Sunshine Tea by, I think it was Andrea Gone. And my gauge was insanely off. So I was traveling, and I took this with me thinking, oh, this will be great because it's, fairly fine yarn. I'm knitting it on size 1s. Plenty of knitting to take with me with, fairly small real estate in bags and things. Well, I had gotten almost done with the back, and I realized that the arm side was like maybe 2.5, 3 inches long. And that was where I was supposed to split and like pick up the front to make, and so there was no way that my arm was ever going to fit through there. So then I rechecked my gauge because I did check my stitch gauge, but I did not check my row gauge because that's usually not a problem. It was a problem with this. If I remember right, the row gauge was like 25 stitches over 4 inches. I was getting something like 35 stitches over that. That's same distance. And so then I tried to find other patterns that were also tees that had a closer match to the gauge I was getting with the fabric that I liked. And so I found the Alice tee, and I'll link it below. I can't remember the designer's name. But it actually had a really similar construction to the Sunshine tee. It has a little bit lower of a neck. I'm trying to decide if I want to continue the faux seam that it has you do. I kind of just want to knit this in the round and not think about it. And with the faux seam, I have to think about the not only doing one purl stitch or two purl stitches on each, one purl stitch on each side of the garment, but I also have to think about slipping a stitch every other row. I don't think I necessarily want to do that. And I'm early enough in it that I could just repair that and not have to worry about it. Now, my most exciting thing that I'm working on right now that is almost done, and I put extra emphasis on it because I wanted to wear it to flock, and it's starting to seem like a real possibility, is my Robinia tee. So excited. It's out of Knitting for Olive silk. I just have to do one sleeve. I was struggling a little bit with this last week, I'm not gonna lie, because I had made it to the body of it, and over 300 stitches with color work that you do not carry your floats in. Like, you just let the floats exist in the back. You don't tack them down anywhere. On fingering weight silk yarn with size 1 needles was killing my soul a little bit. I took multiple breaks. I got distracted with many other things. And so the body took a little bit longer than I would have liked. But then I tried it on and I realized I didn't have as much more to go as I thought. And I was able to finish that this Monday, the Monday before flock. And I finished this sleeve this morning. So I should be able, and I'm making the sleeves a little bit shorter than the pattern calls for, because I think that this is going to relax a little bit more, and I really don't want really long sleeves. I don't like the look, especially because this is going to end up being a little bit more fitted on me than what the pattern recommends. I made it more fitted. Yeah, so I should be able to be finished with that pretty soon. I should be able to finish that in the next day or two. Things that distracted me over the summer, I got really excited because we finally got some cotton yarns into the yarn shop that I work at. And one of the yarns we got was the Sandisgarn Lina. And this is not easily shown because it's very drapey. But I made this just like cover up that is lovely because it is cotton. It's got a drop stitch pattern on it, so it's really light and airy and doesn't make me too hot. But if I go someplace that has air conditioning, I can put it on and stay comfortable. I can also, I learned one day when I wore this somewhere that I could just wear it like a scarf if it got too hot to wear as its intended purpose, and it didn't look too weird. And it kept me from getting too hot that way. So that was really cool. The other thing that I finished that was size 1 needles, sock weight yarn, was I finished my Tegna tee. And I really love the way the lace, I'm trying to see if I can show it without the light going through. I really love the lace detail on this. I'm a little mixed feelings about it because I think I made it a little bit too long in the body. I feel like this is one of those things where if you make it too long, you can look a little bit matronly, especially when you're doing stuff with lace. But I think the hot pink purple color helps counteract that a little bit too. So, depending on the weather, that might be my second day at Flock outfit. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans for going to Flock and Fiber. Like I said, this is their second year. I got to go last year to the first time in Seattle, and I actually was cleaning up some of my knits this morning, and I found the thing that I wore last year to Flock, and apparently I have a thing for red, and this was cotton. This was one of those things of, I should knit more cotton things because it's warm enough in the summertime here that it'd be nice to have something I can wear. This is not it. This was so warm. It was a Cascade cotton. I can't remember which one it is. I have a Ravelry page for it. I literally wore this to Flock and I have not worn it since. I tried to make it a cute crop, like hit right around my pant tight. And I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect because Flock last year was outdoors. It was at Magnuson Park in a hangar. So you got the breeze from outside. You're not going to, you theoretically won't get too hot, right? I was sweating so bad. I had jeans and this top, and this stretched at least 5 inches on me while I was there. And I also really hated the pattern while I was knitting it. I kept making mistakes. I kept messing up. I kept having issues with the pattern. So this kind of just lives in my knitting storage area, and I was too mad at it last year to even deal with it. So I might give it another try now that I found it and I remember that it exists, and see if it was just that was the wrong time to wear it. Maybe wearing it at a shop for a couple hours won't be as bad. We'll see. But for right now, it just sits there and I hate it. I hate it. This year's Flock though, I have my beautiful fingering weight silk tee that I'm fairly confident it's going to be comfortable to wear. Need to finish it so that it has time to block, and then I'll see how much it relaxes and stretches out with all the weight of the fabric and everything. I had already been excited about Flock because the first one was so much fun, and then they started releasing the vendor list, and I got ridiculously excited. There's 2 YouTube like social media yarn dyers that I have adored since I found out about them, and they're both going to be at Flock, and I'm really happy about that. There's also a couple of local dyers and some dyers that I had never heard of before. So the 2 YouTube content creator yarn dyers, I don't even know what to call them, that are going to be there are Plies and Hellhounds. So Gabby from Plies and Hellhounds and Mackenzie from M to the Third. And I have made my list of plans so that I don't get too overexcited with purchases. Mackenzie with M to the Third has a beautiful fingering weight and sport weight in natural dyed colors that look gorgeous, and I really want to at least touch it and see it, and I really want to buy some of it. She also, I just saw on her Instagram that she has fiber bats that are going to be for sale, which I really don't need more fiber, but I'm going to have restraint. There's also Plies and Hellhounds, and I love, first of all, she used to be called, I've loved her since she was Once Upon a Corgi, and I adore corgis. I have never owned a corgi, but I have friends that have them, and they are the most ridiculously adorable dogs. And you get to see them when you watch her channel because they're fantastic, and why wouldn't you? Um, but she has some gorgeous hand-dyed yarn that I've wanted to buy enough for a project, but it's one of those things where I have too many choices and I kind of just need to see them in person. So I'm really excited about her coming out. Miss Babs is going to be there, which I have loved Miss Babs since I lived out on the West Coast, or not the West Coast, the East Coast. I grew up on the East Coast, and she's a lot more, or she was in a lot more shops out there when I lived there. Um, but and like she got really, I don't remember how I found out about her, but she's got beautiful colors and kind of the same thing of like I kind of want to buy it in person because there's subtle variations between her colorways sometimes, and it's one of those things where it's so much easier just to see it in person. Nano Stitch is going to be there, which is one of my favorite local dyers, and they are not in any shops that I know of. They host a bunch of pop-ups. They have their online site, but they have one of my most favorite mohairs that I've ever knit with. Like usually I hate mohair and it tickles my nose and it makes me sneeze and I hate it, but I don't know why theirs doesn't. Theirs is lovely, and I am very tempted to buy a sweater's quantity in one of the patterns that I'm going to talk about in my plans. I'm also really curious about Red Stag fibers because I was looking at their website and they have a Polworth mix. I believe it's sock weight. There's a sport. I have notes about a sport Polworth, and Polworth is one of my favorite fibers. It gets so fluffy, it's so soft, it's so pleasant to work with. It was one of my favorite spinning fibers, and I feel like it's getting more popular in prepared fibers now, and I'm really excited because I love it. I'm also really excited to see Sunrise Grove. I saw them at Fiber Fusion a couple months ago, and they have really beautiful wood. The things that I got were they have the yarn caddies, the wrist ones, kind of like Lemonwood fibers, but they're thicker piece of wood. And instead of having the cutout designs and the really colorful things, they have wood burned images on it. And so it's a little bit more subtle. It's not quite so flashy, but they feel really, really sturdy. And I thought they were really cute. I have two of them. We'll see if I get another one. I probably won't. But they also have stitch markers, and they have special Seattle stitch markers for flock and fiber. And they have like hair clips and other little tools and things. And so I'm really excited to see them again. And I'm wondering if they have any new designs for flock and fiber. I think that's all. That's not all the vendors, but those are the ones that I'm most excited about, that I actually like. I'm going to make a point to get into their booths and see them. I'm hoping because they are at a much larger venue, things are a little bit spread out, so the booths don't get too crowded. We'll see. I will maybe try to record if I'm not too embarrassed while I'm there, so we'll see. The thing, I went through my Ravelry queue and looked for patterns that I want that I don't already have yarn for, or things that I might have a better chance of finding at these places, and so that I have an idea, because like I don't know about other people, but I'll go to these fiber festivals, and sometimes what happens is I get really excited and I see this really beautiful yarn and I buy some, but I don't have a concept of how much I'm going to need for a project. And so then I end up with 3 skeins of something and I needed 4 or 5 skeins. But then I could make something with 1 skein of it, but then I feel bad because the 2 skein, like, it's it's weird in here sometimes. Um, so I went through and I made a list of the weight yarn, the patterns, and the yardage I need for the different things that I want. And one of the ideas I had was there's going to be a lot of dyers that I don't see all the time. I'm I've always, since I saw it in Interweave Knits years ago, wanted to make the Babette blanket. And it's one of those things that at the time it called for, oh my goodness, koigu. And the shop that I used to go to carried a lot of koigu, but it was really expensive. And I was in my 20s and I didn't have the amount of money to drop on a koigu blanket. And so one of the things I did was I wrote down the yardage requirements. And so when I'm going around, if there are skeins or if I just want to buy a one-off or if they have mini skeins or something like that at these different vendors, I was thinking I could get some yarn that way and then have a plan of putting it in the Babette blanket, so that it could be a little bit more interesting and fun. So the hardest part is that there's like 13 skeins that you need for colors that are 175 so that yards. So that's going to take a little bit of mental math at the time to decide whether or not like one mini skein's not going to do it, but I don't necessarily want a full skein and definitely don't want 13 full skeins. So I might have to try and figure out how to divide that up to either fewer colors or more colors, whichever way I'll need to. I really want to get yarn for the honeycomb crochet tank. I started crocheting this summer more than ever, and there's some really beautiful crochet patterns that are out now. One of the reasons I didn't do it before was because the stuff that was available was very old-fashioned. It kind of felt like the patterns were either really chunky or stuck in the 70s, which can be fine, but I don't want everything that way. And I felt like at the time especially, and I've always loved knitting more. I love the process of it and I love the fabric that you get out of it more. But with the rise in popularity of crochet, I feel like there's a lot more elegant and variety of crochet patterns that are out there right now. And I really like the honeycomb tank. I saw it a couple months ago and I don't have enough yardage of anything that will look nice in it. And so that's one of the things that I want, because it needs to be a very plain, not highly variegated yarn, I think, for it to show off the patterning that you're doing in it. I really want to make a skyline tee. Been wanting to do that for a while. The salty air tee is high on my list. I kind of want to get some of Plies and Hellhounds for that, because she's the whole reason that it's on my list, because she's made some and she talks about Samantha Guerin all the time. And so I have the salty air and I have the seagrass tank from, I'm pretty sure it's Samantha Guerin. Now I'm doubting myself. I'm also going to look for yarn for the Camila cardigan. It calls for 2 skeins of mohair. I don't know that I'm up for knitting 2 skeins of mohair or wearing a mohair sweater. It's a lacy cardigan, so like it can work, but it might still be really hot. So I was gonna look at, that was what I was planning for the Nano Stitch Labs booth, of looking for what they have there, because I love their mohair and I think that would be really gorgeous to have a sweater out that with and they have a lot of complementary colors skeins, so like their mohairs will have complementary colors with their sock weights, and so I was thinking I could get a sock weight and a mohair and hold those together. What else? Those are the ones that are my biggest priorities. Um, I have two sport weight sweaters that I'm really looking for. We don't have a lot of sport weight in the shop that I work at. So that's another incentive to find stuff for that. And M to the Third and Red Stag both have sport weights that I'm really curious about. And so one of the sweaters is the ICU, and it's a colorwork yoke. And the designer, says that she was influenced by like Twiggy and makeup from that era, but I look at it and I see evil eyes. So I am very tempted to make that sweater. We'll see if I find colors that work for it. If not, that's okay. I also have the vanilla affogato sweater, or actually, I think it's a tee, and that one's in sport weight. And so that one I think will be really pretty with either a Polworth or the really beautiful colors that M to the Third carries. I have. I don't think that I'm going to be able to find a lot of worsted weight or Aran weight at the shop at the Fiber Festival. I hope I will. If not, that's okay. I just have two patterns for that. One is I don't know how to say this one. I think in my head I keep saying the desk chain sweater, and it's just it's Aran weight, but it's really large gauge. So we'll see if I can find anything for that. The other sweater is a worsted weight sweater, and it's the Cat Bell sweater, and I've just always thought it was really cute. It's really pretty. Worsted weight, I can always find that at my shop that I work at, so that one's not as high of a priority. Yeah, and then I have a couple of other patterns here, but they're just in case I find something amazing and I really want to have a plan for it. That's my main goal with Flock, of like, don't buy anything without a plan attached to it, because that's how it just sits in my stash forever and I never get through it. I've been getting a lot of stuff lately. So I think once Flock is over, I have some classes coming up, so I'm going to be making some samples for those classes. And I have a lot of things that I'm really excited about making that I already have in stash. So I'm mostly excited to go to Flock and see people and see be able to touch the yarn that these people sell, so that I know in the future whether that will work for future ideas too. Like that's a big thing of wanting to go. But yeah, if you're there and you see me, say hi. I might be a little bit flustered, but totally say hi. And I'm just really excited. I'm hoping to get on more of a schedule of recording. I've cleaned up my little corner here in a room that has a closed door and nobody else will come in for to walk through to go somewhere else. That's the problem with my other filming space, is it's the basement, and I share that space with my whole family. My son's computer is on the other side of my desk, and my husband's office is at the end of the basement, and so I get really self-conscious when people walk around, and then I feel guilty that I'm self-conscious and that I'm taking up their space. So this is going to be I can't film in that space alternate location, so that I have less excuses of feeling weird and awkward about this. I think that's all for now. Hopefully there'll be another video next week where I, at the very least, will show what I got and what I did at Flock. I'll see you next time. Bye.